Hey guys, it's Jenny. So I've been meaning to do this video for like 4 months now, but pretty much I've just gotten really busy with school and everything, but I'm here now and hopefully I'll be able to put out more regular videos. So I am pretty much going to do my sophomore video. If you didn't know already, I have a high school series going on where I'm just going to go through my 4 years of high school, give you guys my experience with my classes, extracurriculars, and just offer up some tips, advice, and stories along the way. So hopefully this will be helpful while you're like choosing classes and just looking towards your high school years. So if you haven't already, I have my freshman video up and you can check that out, and I'll just put that down below. So let's just get right into it. Basically, I'll just start out with my classes. The 6 classes that I took included 3 AP classes and 3 non-AP classes. So they were AP Chemistry, AP World History, AP Calculus AB, Honors Sophomore English, 3rd year Chinese, and String Orchestra. So I'll just start off with talking with my AP classes.
Just like one note though, I'm giving you guys advice based on my own experience. Don't take it as like concrete though. Take it and mold it to your own situation with what your school offers and allows, with what you're comfortable with. Like, you don't have to take the classes that I took in its exact order during the exact year. It's just like what I chose to do, and maybe you'll be able to gain something through my experiences, but don't necessarily say like, oh, if she said that, then that's definitely true for me too. Like, no, like everyone's preferences are different, everyone's situations are different. So yeah, just throwing that out there.
So let's start off with AP Chemistry. So for me, AP Chemistry was probably the hardest AP science class for me. Maybe it's because it was pretty intangible to me that I don't even remember the concepts anymore. I pretty much just purge my memory from like all the subjects that I did not like in high school. For one, our school didn't really have the best teacher, so it definitely took a lot more work for me to get a good grade on the AP test. I passed and I did decently. She definitely cared about us, she did her best, but it definitely required us to do a lot more work by ourselves to learn the material. But if your school has like a really good AP chemistry teacher, then that's awesome. If you naturally understand chemistry, that's awesome. But if not, if you really will struggle with chemistry, then maybe you might want to take like honors or just normal chemistry.
And it depends on which school you end up going to for college, but AP Chemistry can also help you with college credits, or at least like getting out of like the first level of chemistry classes that you might have to take.
So moving on to AP World History. So AP World was honestly one of my least favorite AP classes in general that I took all of high school. It was definitely up there with AP Human Geography as well. Our teacher at our school was not the best either. He did not like teach the material at all, and all our assignments were like super pointless, and like we had these PowerPoints and stuff. Like, it was kind of dumb, but that was a chill class, I guess. Like, it was an easy A.
I just personally didn't really like the material that we were learning anyways. History was never super like, wasn't really my favorite subject to begin with. Just like learning like kind of small like snippets of like their culture and just their, economy and whatnot, trade, the Silk Road. I'm just throwing out random things that I faintly remember about this class because, once again, purging all the memory of bad classes.
So basically what ended up happening was I realized a month before the AP class, or the AP test, that I did not know any material. So I started stressing out a lot and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fail. But what ended up happening was like 3 weeks before the AP test, I started just cramming as much.
I'm just holding a Q-tip. That's random anyways.
Pretty much trying to fit a year's worth of material into like 3 weeks. I like went through my notes that I took from my textbook. I went through a study guide. I even borrowed notes from an upperclassman friend who had previously taken the class.
You hear that plane? Probably not. Anyways.
So I just crammed, and I ended up doing well on the test. But yeah, that was definitely like all independent studying pretty much. Like, our teacher did not really do anything. But if you like history, or if your school has an awesome teacher, then maybe it might be worth taking.
Moving on to, oh my gosh, helicopter.
So moving on to Calculus AB.
Some subjects come more naturally to people, and some subjects are a lot more difficult for people to grasp, and AP Chemistry was really difficult to me to grasp, but math has always come more naturally to me. I don't know why, like, I guess my brain just works more logically, and I like that math, like calculus especially, is like step by step. You know, you get this problem, and you're like, okay, well, you do this, you find the derivative, you do whatever, and then you get the answer. So it was very logical for me, and I like that.
Sometimes math can be like people's bane of existence, so definitely take wherever you are on that spectrum and use that to decide whether or not calculus is for you or not. I think calculus is very practical to take during high school if you can, do well, because if you do well on the test, like get a 4 or a 5, it can definitely help you either get college credit or at least waive a certain calculus course that you might have to take during college. Like right now, I don't really have to take calculus in high school at all anymore because of my AP classes. And pretty much if math is a struggle for you, I don't want to like completely discourage you to take it either, because if you have a good teacher or you have a good support system, like a good group of friends that are also taking it, there's no shame in asking questions or asking help, being like, okay, I do not understand how to do this at all. Can you like go through it with me step by step? Because that's definitely really helpful. Okay, so those were my 3 AP classes. Hopefully my advice was helpful, and I'll move on to my non-AP classes. I don't just like brush through them. So I had honors sophomore English. I talked a little bit about honors freshman English during my last video, and pretty much they're just kind of like fluff classes where they like kind of baby you and trying to teach you how to, do some basic literary analysis and just like build skills and like in recognizing literary devices and like reading certain classics and stuff. It was a class that was just kind of there that you just took. And then I also took string orchestra, which was string orchestra. I think I was in like second violin during that year, if that means anything. I don't know. I was like third chair, second violin or something. And it was, a fun class to just like go to. Didn't have to worry about doing homework because all we had to do was like, just play in class, and then we had very small homework assignments every semester. So it was kind of like my easy class all throughout high school.
If you want to break from like all the AP classes and all your like extracurriculars, then I definitely encourage you to take a fun class, whether that be orchestra or pottery or, I don't know, photography, then go for it. And being creative, like having an art or like creative class is definitely really important as well, just to kind of like train your mind to think in different ways.
So third year Chinese was my last class, and there's actually a bit of running joke with our class was that our class was actually called AP PowerPoint, because at one point our teacher had us do a huge PowerPoint project where she assigned like groups certain cities in China, because like third year Chinese they start teaching you a little bit more about Chinese culture. So my teacher did that by like having us do projects on Chinese cities and like going through those. But what ended up happening was that she pretty much hated all of our PowerPoints and legit took an entire week out of our curriculum just to like go through every single slide out of every single group and just say what was wrong with it and like give us advice on how to fix it. And then she reassigned the project and then gave us all different cities to do. And then we all did it, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's spectacular. And then she used our PowerPoints as examples for future classes. But she's a great person and everything. She's just like a tiny little Asian mom who just has high expectations, I guess. And that was our class for like a week and a half, and I still remember it to this day. Anyways, so those were my 6 classes that I took. So the 3 extracurricular activities that probably stood out the most for me in sophomore year were Red Cross, swimming, and hospital volunteering. Some other clubs that I joined were Science Olympiad, Key Club, and National Honor Society.
For Science Olympiad definitely became a bigger part of my high school experience in later years, but for sophomore year I was just kind of jumping into it. I don't think I even placed in any of my events in Science Olympiad for sophomore year. It was not very good. I'll touch on that more in my other videos, but yeah, National Honor Society and Key Club were just more volunteering clubs that, a bunch of my friends did, so I did too.
I'll talk about Red Cross first. So Red Cross was probably the club that I was most involved in high school in general. I actually ran for secretary at the end of the year and got the position, and I would become secretary my junior year, but it just throughout sophomore year, like doing all the events, it just made me like the club more. It wasn't like event after event after event like Key Club was, but it was more like a few really big events throughout the year that we had to plan for and get volunteers for and stuff like that. They're all always really fun to go to and volunteer, hang out with your friends, raise money and awareness for the Red Cross. So I definitely really like the Red Cross.
After the end of the sophomore year, after being elected to secretary, I also applied for this council called the Youth Council, and pretty much like through every chapter that like kind of encompasses a certain region, they pretty much have like a youth council where like representatives from high schools in that region all meet together every month, and we just like plan region-wide events. We oversee the Red Cross clubs in the region and plan more overarching events.
So I applied for that at the end of sophomore year, and I did not get in, but it was between me and another guy who was actually also a close friend, and he ended up getting it. And I was a little bit bummed at first just because like it was my first like rejection, and I really wanted to get in, but honestly throughout junior year I was like, it got pretty busy, and with like the monthly meetings, like would have just added even more stress onto my junior year. Almost like a blessing in disguise. On the same note of volunteering, I also started volunteering at a local hospital. So I started the January of my sophomore year, and I pretty much went on until like the end of senior year. So if your region has a local hospital, then you might want to look into any volunteering programs that they might have. They have like a specific youth volunteering program that a bunch of my friends also did. It was pretty much every week you went in for 4 hours and you just volunteered at certain positions. You had to apply, go to training sessions, be interviewed and everything. So it was a pretty long process to get in, but I ended up working in the gift shop, which was pretty valuable. Like after doing that like week after week after week for like almost 3 years, definitely accumulated my volunteering hours. Swimming, so I made it to state for swimming for the first time. I made it for a relay, and my team was actually the underdog for that relay, and it was so exciting that we made it. Like we made it like by the skin of our teeth. It was such a tight race to qualify for state because it was like the top 2 teams. Districts qualify for state, and pretty much 3 different schools with their relays were competing for the second place, and our school was one of them, and I was a part of that team. So it was really intense during finals. That was one of the most like exciting races ever.
Because I was the last person, like the last leg of our relay, and just looking at the board and seeing that we got second place, like literally just so much cheering, so much happiness in that moment, and it was like so awesome going to state for the first time. So that was really memorable, and I just really love swimming in general, just like having that family environment of just all training together, going to competitions together. We spent a lot of time with these girls or boys for like a season every year, and it's definitely like a great way to form really close relationships with people.
So hopefully my advice in this video is helpful. If you're interested in hearing more about my high school experience, then subscribe so you can get notifications for my future videos. I'll be doing my junior and senior years videos soon, hopefully, and then if you have any other questions, comments, video requests, then feel free to leave them in the comment section below as well. I also love responding to comments, so chances are if you comment, I will reply. Hope you guys are having a great school year, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!